pathways for our learners so they can be successful. Every one of our students in the grades 6th through 12th grade who need to remediate courses will be able to take up to 2 semester courses during this time. And then we'll have grade enhancement. We know that in high school, 9th grade and 10th grade is a really trying time for some of our learners as they transition from middle school to high school. So we're going to make certain that any student that was not successful in the area of mathematics and literacy, that they'll get a chance to continue their coursework and be connected to a teacher through this process using Edgenuity as well. As it relates to Algebra 1, we know that some of our students who may not have excelled, whether it's in the brick and mortar classroom or through e-learning, and those individuals that may have obtained and earned a grade of a D or F, we're going to offer an Algebra 1 boot camp for them, and they're going to be able to triage and be exposed to the foundational skills and algebraic foundational skills. And while they may be able to transition to geometry next year, we want to make certain that we expose them to high-level content so they can be successful not only through geometry, but eventually they will take Algebra 2. We want that foundational skills to be built so they can have exposed to spiral curriculum to be successful day in and day out. And then also any student that has Algebra 1 EOC that has not passed it to date, we'll continue to offer them layers of support during this virtual time as well. Overall, if you look at the number of students that qualify through using this model, it will be up to, the max will be 24,000 students that will be offered to be a part of this learning process. And of that, we will probably transition to need around 2,100 teachers if every one of our students are actively engaged in that process. Over the next coming days, we'll be working with our schools and sending them the students that qualify on this criteria. And then they will be reaching out to our families through ETSB, multiple platforms, through calling our parents to make sure they truly understand the availability, what we will offer during the summer process. We also are going to do elementary. We understand that elementary is significantly important related to our curriculum. So any student in elementary that wants to continue learning on their own and does not qualify for the criteria that we set for summer learning, virtual summer learning, we're going to allow them to do so. So we're going to allow them to continue to keep their computers that we've extended. They can go on Mayan from the literacy perspective, and at the same time, we're going to allow them to continue to journey through iReady in the area of literacy and mathematics as well. We understand that this e-learning process may have created a wedge, an intellectual divide, because we know the power of a face-to-face brick and mortar classroom where our teachers are truly connecting with our children every single day, diagnosing their needs in order to help them provide interventions to be successful. So multiple tiers that we're going to offer, and we want to make certain that our families know that we will continue to be here for their learners and will help them in every single way that we can. We will continue to offer extended school years for students with disability, and also leverage our migrant summer camps to be able to help our children in need who are English language learners every single day. So, right now we have an aggressive plan. We will roll it out this week. I informed the board last night, and we look forward to continue to service our children in a proactive, sophisticated manner.
We heard from some parents who had concerns about having a lot expected of them as this process unfolded over the last couple of months. How have you taken that? I imagine you've taken that into consideration as you move now into the summer. And what's changed, or what is changing?
So initially, I think that the biggest barrier was I don't think our parents understood the volume of work that our children were engaged in every single day. So when you move and transition, from a brick and mortar face-to-face with our teachers, and then our teachers did a really nice job up front, and they uploaded the entire week's worth of lessons, and you had multiple content areas, also resource classes. It's overwhelming. Me as a parent, I have an 8th grader as well that's involved in this e-learning process, and she's make me pull my hair out as well when all of the assignments that came forth. So as a parent, I understand. One of the biggest things we had to do is coach parents to know that we're here to support them through our teachers, because our teachers done a really nice job. And then I had to make certain that we send out ongoing communications to our staff and our teachers and our leaders to make certain that they understand there's a balance between accountability and flexibility. And one of the things we didn't want to do is we didn't want to penalize any of our students that may have existing barriers, whether it's technology barriers, whether it's support at home barriers, whether there's a need for interventions. And I think over the last couple of weeks we've gotten better. Can we get better? We're going to evolve every day through this process, and we are learning through trial and error. We're having teachers are having greater conversations with family members through SB, through conference calls, through media platforms. So I think that it's one of those ordeals where we didn't have the recipe. So originally we were doing, our teachers were doing a really nice job. What we asked to go and upload your information. And I think that as we evolved and we started to scale back at what we understood that children and families could handle, I think that we had a better instructional framework of what we could extend and what our children actually could be able to do in that time without a teacher in front of them. So it's a very valid concern, and I hope our parents see that we're trying to do a better job with the understanding the time constraints and understanding the volume of the work. One thing we won't do, we'll never remove the complexity of the work. But the volume of work, we're trying to be mindful of it.
Are you concerned that when it comes to the level of education, that when students move on from one grade to the other, there may be this lapse in between? There's been a lot of talk about that nationwide.
Yes, sir. I mean, I think it's real. When as I said before, there's no substitute for a child to be in front of a teacher, and a great teacher to have grade level appropriate content in front of them every single day, so they can really see and feel the progression or lack of progression of a student in their readiness levels. And then because our teachers do a really nice job, devising plans that differentiate the instructional process, and then and find time to fill the needs and identify the intellectual gaps that may exist. Whether that's exposure to standard remediation, skill remediation, they do a really nice job. The reality is that some of our learners will suffer during this e-learning process. So we're going to make certain that as soon as we can get some clearance from the governor's office, and they've done a really nice job of having the progression coming back, the phases coming back to normalcy, we're ready to go. So as of right now, we're watching this while it's virtual. We're watching it every single day. If we get more information from medical practitioners and the CDC guidelines or eliminate or reduce, we're going to try to find proactive ways to get in front of our children and allow them to get in front of our high-quality teachers and high-impact teachers to be able to address some of the standards they may not have been exposed to. We understand right now, the biggest thing is, my fear is in kindergarten and first grade, their language acquisition is right now. Their phonics and, to be able to be exposed to phonics, sight words, phonemic awareness, you name it, it's a concern right now. So we want to get in front of them as soon as we can. So we, whether it may be bringing students back 2 weeks before the school starts, and we got to figure out logistically if that can even happen, or spending the first 2 weeks, coming into the school year, or if we can come back on time, being able to expose them to spiral curriculum that they may have missed and take some big ideas to get them ramped up and ready to go. I can tell you without a doubt, the first 9 weeks we're going to be embedding, which we always do, we do a really nice job of teachers, embedding fourth quarter standards within the first quarter. And that's just to make certain that we feel solid that children are exposed to the necessary content so they can be successful. And so that, one thing we can't do is turn our eye to those core content areas, to the foundational skills that they may need from one grade level and one content to another. So we stand ready. Last night was the first phase of putting some work into place through curriculum instruction, and we stand ready to write and develop and meet our children where they are.
Kind of jumping off what you said there, are you confident
Bless you. Bless you.
Are you confident that the school year will start at the end of August? During yesterday's U.S. Senate hearing, there was a lot of talk about schools reopening and how, at this point, that could still be dangerous.
Yeah, yes, sir. So a lot of conversation about that timeline, and we're sitting our ears to the ground, and we're going to be prepared for a multifaceted approach. Right now, we're going to be prepared for the entire e-learning process. If we have to extend the e-learning, we will be ready. In addition, we are going to plan for a blended model for the reopening process, meaning that there may be A days and B days for students to come, where 1 week that they're in front of our teachers in a small group setting to make certain that we are within the guidelines for social distancing, because that's in the classroom and common areas, the lunchroom, how are we going to interact on the buses. So there may be a part where we have half of the students on, on one day, the other half of the students on the other day, and that there's a blended model between brick and mortar one week and virtual the other week. We are planning for that. In the third phase we're planning for is full implementation to come back. So we're doing, right now, and while we're waiting for guidance of what the reopening may look like, we are not standing on the sidelines. Our team is aggressively looking at 3 goals. One way is to make sure we ensure the health and safety of our students and our staff, and that's looking at reporting procedures about how we will potentially screen our employees and our students prior for them to coming in. Looking at making sure that we have social distancing procedures in place in classrooms and common areas, making certain that we have a thorough plan for touch points about how we're going to clean every one of our common areas in our classrooms and our school buses as students transaction between one place to the other. How's transportation and food nutrition going to look? The other big bucket is looking at how we're going to extend instructional processes. What does it look like for our children and for our families? Looking at that e-learning transition plan, making certain that we understand that we have alternative pathways for our children because they, some may enjoy this e-learning process, and then looking at accommodations for our students and those who need, and providing ongoing interventions. And the last thing is, how are we going to effectively communicate this plan to our constituents, effectively communicate this plan to our employees, so that everyone truly understands what we're trying to accomplish, and that is major. In today's signal that we're going to over-communicate to our community so that they are with us every step of the way. And in that process, they will know procedures, they will know expectations for students, for teachers, for families, for instruction, for us to have a reopening that is flawless every single day.
Superintendent, I'm sure you can understand that many parents, this is one of the largest school districts in the United States.
Yes, sir.
There's so many parents in this district who want to know probably even a timeline on when you're going to make your decision, when the school board might make any decisions. Can you offer any sort of insight into, are you thinking a certain, let's hit a gate of a certain calendar date
right.
to make a decision?
So, I've modeled that we made a decision for, return on school. There was a date, a 2-week period of date. There's a decision for graduation we wanted to put in place for July 1 to make an informed decision about standalone. Also with making a decision about how we're going to, if we're going to open face-to-face will be June the 15th. So looking at all those, I'd love to put a time frame on it, but I've got it, until I learn more from the plan from Tallahassee, I don't want to make certain that I put dates that we can't deliver with. So we know this, that we are going to aggressively push and listen to Tallahassee and at the same time work through FADS, which is our organization for Florida administrators of superintendents. We're working collectively to get all these questions answered. But at the end of the day, if we don't have, we should have something by August 1. And if we don't, I can promise you as a civic leader, I will make a decision openly for our community.
Superintendent, what can you say about teacher recruitment and teacher staffing? What I'm hearing from the teacher recruitment people is that they're expecting there will be some teachers, because of their age or their health, who
right.
will not feel comfortable
Sure.
coming back in August, maybe some who are in drop, and instead
Yeah.
of working those last couple of years, they'll just retire now. On the other hand, I'm hearing that they expect, because of unemployment, you'll get a lot of non-traditional teaching candidates who will come in and be a teacher. What's your perspective on all that? How are we going to fill all these jobs, and who's going to be teaching?
Yes, ma'am. So historically, we have around 1,200 vacancies that we have to fill in Hillsborough County. I will tell you, starting in the beginning of March, we had an aggressive layout to Teach in Tampa initiative, and we are hiring teachers every single day that are skilled, qualified, and licensed and certified to be able to come in front of our children. I do believe with the current pandemic that it may allow us to have a longer, stronger bench of individuals that aspire to come into the field of teaching. So right now I'm really confident that we'll be able to fill our positions in a competent manner. As it relates to individuals, if they aspire that this may not be the best environment for them due to the pandemic, we're going to support them either way, and we want them to be at peace with their decision. As it relates to us, my job is to educate children, but at the same time be sensitive to our employees and work with each and every one of them individually determine if this is the right time and in the right place for them to return. If it is not, then openly that we're going to have to move in a direction that helps children. We know that there's no substitute, no silver bullet other than having that highly skilled, qualified teacher in front of our children every single day, and that's going to be our end game, mission with that process. I do believe, though, with e-learning, that we're going to have to expand our virtual, student stations. And I think that there's going to be some of our students and parents that really like it. And I want you to know that we're here today, that we are ready to meet you, parents, where your learner is. We are ready to help you through that process. Our Hillsborough Virtual School is an awesome opportunity. And if this is something that they would love to do, we're going to open that door and help them along the way every single day.
Well, that's the other thing. I'm wondering if some teachers will
Transition.
either temporarily
Right.
or permanently to be a virtual
Yes, ma'am.
teacher, because not all teachers enjoy that, but some do it quite well.
Yes, ma'am. It could be a possibility. Absolutely.
I'm just curious, even with the idea of a blended model for the fall.
Yes, sir.
Just thinking out loud, are some of the possibilities that you're considering for perhaps bringing in modular buildings, additional modular buildings that you might not normally have, and additionally, potentially keeping smaller groups of kids together that might not normally in a normal school year stay together throughout the entire day?
Yes, sir. So, we've had conversations about bringing modulars in, portables in. The issue is the affordability piece. What kind of money, what type of money will that take to do it? It's fairly expensive to do, and it's just not as easy as taking a portable and setting on the property if we have the land available to do it. It's having the connected, running the power, making certain that we have all the electric that they need in order to be successful, and that's going to be extremely expensive. So my hope is that we can get some relief, use some of the gear money and some of the fundings that's been provided to Tallahassee to help us with these initiatives, and for us to look into it. So,
what about keeping the smaller groups of kids, even older kids potentially, together? Is that something you're considering?
Well, the issue becomes is that we're going to have to figure out a way how they round. So I mean, if we have to come back to the CDC guidelines, the groups will be small. As relates to looking at secondary students, that we're going to have to figure out a way about how they travel, controlled movement, controlled structures, because one thing we don't want to do is put teachers on wheels across we want them to have their own standalone classroom, because their classroom is made up, if it's math class, of mathematical practices and interactive work all throughout the entire classroom. In the same way with a social studies teacher, science lab for online for hand-on line and science investigations. So we're just going to figure out structured plan of how that looks. I'm really confident in our school-based leaders. They've done a really nice job, and we'll continue to help them and support them to have controlled movement if that's the direction we need to move towards.
Superintendent, we have one more question.
Yes, sir.
Could you discuss your restructuring plan and whether that will mean job cuts, and if so, does that include teachers?
Yeah, first and foremost, I'm really thankful for the school board to allow me to move in a aggressive, direction to refocus and redesign and reorg the school district. As you can see last night, my presentation was very clear that my overall focus will be moving and improving teaching and learning. So everything that we did last night was really solely, about making certain that we align teaching and learning, curriculum instruction, and have proven skilled leaders that are focused on and are content experts to help our teachers, to help our leaders grow intellectually every single day, and turnkey the work that through the curriculum side that we adopt in order to help our children compete for jobs that do not exist today. So, as it relates to job cuts, 129 jobs yesterday, which is around $7.5 million. The question was, is it going to impact teachers? All the cuts that we identified last night were at the district level and were phase one. Do we have more to go? The answer is yes. So as we learn and better understand roles and responsibility and organizational impact, we'll continue to make informed decisions. My job and role and responsibility is to protect schools. My job is also to make certain that everyone from the district level understands their role to remove transactional supports to real transformational supports, and empowering our teachers, empowering our support professionals, and our leaders to do great things every day for our children, and along with connecting with our community.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.